Well, all right, here we go. The Dragons of Blueland. So remember yesterday, Baby Dragon wanted to go off to get help from his friend, Elmer Elevator, to help save his family who's stuck inside of that cave. And then remember that those men had gone up there because they're like, we've got these dragons, we're going to discover them. What do you think they want to catch the dragons for? What do you think their purpose is? I wonder. But now he's got Elmer Elevator. They came up with a plan. Do you remember all those things there? This time he was going to put in his knapsack whistles and horns, string, chocolate bars, fig Newtons, a jackknife. $7.37 left over in the end. What do you think he's going to do with all of that? You know, he always has good plans, especially with that cat helping him plan. All right, chapter 7, The Dragons of Blueland. Who do you think those two are right there? I have a guess. Wonder what your guess is. Tell me more about your family, said Elmer, as the dragon flew over the harbor and northward along the coast of Popsicornia. Do you all look alike? Oh no, we've all got golden colored wings and red feet and horns, but my father is blue and my mother is yellow. All of my 6 sisters are green, ranging from yellow-green to blue-green. We boys are all both blue and yellow. I have wide stripes, but 2 brothers have narrow stripes, one with the stripes going the other way. One has yellow polka dots on blue, and one has blue polka dots on yellow. One has a yellow head and a body and 1 leg, with 3 blue legs and tail. One is speckled blue and yellow, like a bird's egg, and the last has patches of blue and yellow. Oh my goodness, how wonderful, said Elmer. You must look like an Easter parade when you're all out together. I guess we do, said the dragon, especially when Father has us doing our exercises. He's a great one for dragon exercises. Exercises, said Elmer. You know, standing on your head, somersaults, leapfrog, and all that sort of thing. Of course, in the summer, we spend most of our time mowing the meadows and tending to the flowers. Each one of us has a special part of Blueland to take care of. I wonder what's become of my piece. I suppose Mother has taken it over. I had the marshy part near the lakeside. That's why I'm so particularly fond of marsh marigolds and skunk cabbages. But what about in the wintertime? Asked Elmer, looking down at the line of waves breaking against the rocky shore in the moonlight. It must be very cold and snowy. Not too much exercising at that time. Oh, we do our exercises no matter what, summer or winter. Father sees to that, and of course we have lots of fun sliding down the mountain slopes onto the frozen lakes. But the winter is really fun because we sit in a circle in our cave, and Father tells us stories about knights. It seems there used to be a lot of knights who wrote about looking for dragons. They captured and killed most of us all, but a few of us escaped to Blueland. My father says his grandfather could remember the knights very well, with their heavy coats of armor and lances and swords and helmets. All his colorful friends, family, all different. Kind of cool, huh? Oh, sure, I've read about them in books, said Elmer, but those dragons were always fierce and wanted to eat somebody. Nonsense, said the dragon. That's just what knights like to make people believe, so everybody would think they were very brave when they went dragon hunting. Dragons look fierce sometimes, but really we're very gentle. That's why they finally ran. Oh, big picture. I'm going to finish the sentence off. That's why they finally ran away to Blueland. They wanted to be left alone, and now some more men have decided to come and bother us. Goodness knows what they'll do to us in time. If we only get back there, it would be great if we got there on time. We can't possibly make it before tomorrow evening. That will make it over 2 days since I left. Here they are inside of their cave with the father telling them stories. It's kind of like a story circle at school, except we're not dragons. Oh, we'll save your family all right, said Elmer hopefully. I can't wait to meet them all. He snuggled up against the baby dragon's neck and dreamed of the rescue as they sped through the night toward the mountains of Blueland. Chapter 8, The Spiky Mountain Range. Where are we going to rest tomorrow? Asked Elmer, biting off a corner of chocolate bar to help him stay awake. I'm trying to get all the way to the spiky mountain range, said the dragon. No more Mr. Wagon Wheel for me if I can help it. He was awful. A searchlight, interrupted Elmer as a beam of light shot up from below, lighting up the dragon's gold-colored wings. It's from that ship, Elmer. They saw me last night, too. Hold on tight. I'm going to try to dodge it, yelled the dragon, swooping, diving up and down, swerving from side to side. Elmer grabbed the dragon's neck and held on as hard as he could. He didn't dare open his eyes, but he could hear men shouting on the ship. Right, move it to the right, faster, faster. Left now, left. Hey, I think something's over there, riding on it. What's on it? Looks like a boy, shouted another man. And then the moon slipped behind a cloud bank. The dragon escaped the beam of light and flew frantically through the darkness, while the light danced over the sky, still looking for them. Good work, said Elmer, feeling very dizzy and quite sick. But they saw us. Both of us, said the dragon. That's all right. They don't know where we're going, and we'll have your whole family rescued by the time they decide where we are, said Elmer, wondering if it would be wiser to finish eating his chocolate bar now or later. He was still feeling a little sickish from all that darting and dodging. I hope you're right, muttered the dragon doubtfully. On and on they flew, until at dawn they were over Seaweed Bay and due east lookout. The dragon swung westward over Seaward City and landed in a forest in Spiky Mountain Range. He was so tired that he fell asleep before he had time for a drink of water. Elmer finished his chocolate bar, ate another, and then the whole box of Fig Newtons. He drank from the mountain stream and curled up beside the sleeping dragon. I'm going to pause for a minute because we started learning about maps. And I want you to remember at the very beginning of this book, they gave us a map of all of the area that we're talking about in here. So you can see over here is where Nevergreen City is. That's where Elmer's from. And Popsicorny is the whole country. So remember, that's the whole country, and this is the city. And then there's just little parts along the way that they've flown over. Then over here is that awful desert. And then the Spiky Mountain Range up here. And I don't think that this is right next to this. It's just a representation, but it kind of gives you an idea of another map showing you things that are going on in there. Same map at the back. All right, where were you? I hope you're right, muttered the dragon doubtfully. On and on they flew until dawn. Oh, I read that already. Drank from the water. Luckily, they didn't know who had seen them over Seaweed City. Ever since Mr. Wagon Wheel had glimpsed the dragon Thursday, he had been trying to persuade his neighbors that he really had seen a blue demon. No one believed a word that he said. But he bothered the whole town so much that they told him to report it to the Seaweed City police. He had planned to go on Sunday, but changed his mind in the middle of Saturday night. He woke Mrs. Wagon Wheel. You take care of the morning milking, and I'll be back in time for dinner. I'm taking the horse and wagon. But, said Mrs. Wagon Wheel, I'm off, said Mr. Wagon Wheel, and Mrs. Wagon Wheel heard the kitchen door slam behind him. So, at dawn, just as he was trotting through the outskirts of Seaweed City, Mr. Wagon Wheel looked up into the sky to see what sort of day it was going to be. And then he nearly fell out of his seat. The blue demon, he yelled. With a boy or something riding on his back. He looked around wildly for someone to show it to, but there was nobody in sight. And by the time he reached the police station and had found someone to listen to him, Elmer and the dragon were safely hidden in the forest of the Spiky Mountain Range. Let's see. Ooh. Chapter 9, Blueland. Elmer and the dragon dozed until late afternoon. They were both impatient to be off, but as Elmer said, we'd only spoil everything by getting there before it's dark enough. So they waited and rested and drank cool mountain water. The dragon munched ferns while Elmer ate his third chocolate bar. Look at Elmer all curled up in there. He's got his stripes, and the dragon has his stripes. What a cozy place to snuggle up. I wish Arlo was that big. I could snuggle up on him like that. I can't stand it any longer, said the dragon, jumping up and shaking out his wings. All right, said Elmer, let's go. He put on his knapsack and climbed onto the dragon's back. They walked to a clearing in the woods, and the dragon took off across awful desert. It was hot over the sands, even in the late afternoon, and Elmer crouched over to hide from the burning winds. The dragon panted for air, but flew faster and faster, hardly daring to think what might have happened since he left. He kept muttering, if only the sandstorms would start up. Where are the sandstorms? That would make the men leave. When they came to the dry, rocky slopes of Blueland, the sun was low on the horizon, and they knew it would soon be dark inside the circle of mountains. Keep a sharp lookout, warned the dragon as they picked their way through the boulders. They may have been most anywhere. Up they went, slowly, quietly. At last, they reached the gap between the peaks, and Elmer gasped at the sight below him. The beautiful meadows of Blueland shone bright green, dotted with patches of snapdragons, glowing white in the dimming light, and at the center, the lake water reflected the pink of the sky. Suddenly, it was gone into darkness, and the sun set. But the dragon had been straining to see across the lake, and suddenly he grabbed Elmer for joy. The men, I saw them, and they were still standing outside of the cave with the net. Maybe we're not too late. He hurried Elmer down to the giant snapdragon bush, which hid the entrance to the little tunnel. I don't think they found it, he whispered happily as he pulled aside the roots and rocks. Neither do I, said the dragon. Agreed Elmer, looking all around to be sure he'd remembered the spot. Then he took off his knapsack and unpacked one whistle, one horn, the flashlight, and the ball of string. Lower your neck so I can measure the string for a whistle and horn, he said, getting out his jackknife. Why do I have to have them on strings? Asked the dragon. I don't want you to drop them. If the men never see them, maybe they'll never guess what happened. The dragon laughed and tried out the strings to make sure he could reach the horn and whistles easily. They're fine, he said. Now I'll wait here until you tell me it's time. Look, the men are building a campfire. They must be having supper. So much the better, said Elmer as he started down into the tunnel with his knapsack. But how will your family know that I'm your friend? Well, just tell them that Boris sent you. Boris? Is that your name? Yes, said Boris uncomfortably. I was embarrassed to tell you before. It's no worse than Elmer, said Elmer. I suppose not. And it's certainly not as bad as some of my other family's names. I might as well tell you the rest of their names. My sister are, now these are some interesting words, so I'm going to have to do my best sounding them out. My sisters are Ingeborg, Eustacia, Gertrude, Bertha, Mildred, and Hildegard. And my brothers are Emil, Horatio, Conrad, Jerome, Wilhelm, Dagobert, and Egmont. Can you imagine? But hurry, I can't wait to hear what's happening to all of them. Once inside the tunnel, Elmer snapped on his flashlight and shot it over the damp walls. The ceiling was high enough so he could walk easily. Down, down he went, around curves, through small rooms, and then through narrow tunnels until at last he came to the place where the dragons had gotten stuck. He heard scratching and scraping noises, and he knew he must be very close to the dragon family. It's Elmer Elevator, Boris's friends, he whispered as softly and bravely as he could. Who? They asked. Elmer Elevator, Boris's friends. Boris is at the entrance to the tunnel, and I've come to rescue you. Turn off your light and come in, whispered another voice, and Elmer walked slowly into the darkness. He stopped and felt something felt himself surrounded by huge forms of breathing excitedly. We can't tell you how grateful we are, said the gigantic dragon mother. Never mind that, whispered the father. What's your plan, and how can we help? We're almost starved to death in here. Oh, I have some chocolate bars for you, said Elmer, generously giving away his last 3. Here, I'll open them up for you and divide them into 5 pieces. I'm afraid it's not much, but it ought to help you just a little bit. He held his flashlight inside his knapsack and divided up the chocolate as he explained his plan. They all chuckled low dragon chuckles and began to feel much better. Then Elmer made string necklaces for horns and whistles for all the dragons and carefully tied them on. He wanted to take a really good look at the tremendous family, but they were near the entrance to the cave and he had to keep the flashlight in the knapsack. As he took out his cap pistol, he asked, Do you know how heavy the net is and how it's fastened across the entrance? No, answered the dragon father. Well, I better look, said Elmer. He quietly crept up toward the net, but the men were sitting close by and he didn't dare get close enough for them to see him. Well, we'll just have to trust luck, he told the dragons as he started back through the tunnel to Boris. Now, this sounds very suspicious. He gave them all horns and whistles, and Baby Dragon's still on the other side and has his horn and whistle. What do you think they're going to do? How are they going to get out of this predicament? What's this rescue all about? Tomorrow will be the last day. We'll do the last 2 chapters, 10 and 11. The end of our Blueland Dragon adventures. We'll see you later. Bye. Guys, bye.